Hey guys, my name's Echo Kellum. I play Curtis Hull, aka Mr. Terrific, on CW Arrow, and you're listening to Kneel Before Pod.
Kneel Before Blog presents Kneel Before Pod.
My name is Craig Mackenzie. After a lifetime of being a nerd, I have come to you with only one goal: to talk utter nonsense. But to do that, I can't sit and talk to myself. I must enlist someone else and do something else. So thankfully he's managed to get his time off his work experience stint at Argus, not Argos for our British listeners. Argus, yeah, Chris is doing work experience at Argus, but he's also here. So hi.
Hello.
Did you learn anything at school today?
Well, do you know what? I got really excited that I was going to be working at Argus, and do you know what they did? They just put me in the admin department.
Ah.
It turns out that no matter where I go, no matter where I work, I get stuck doing admin and IT. Who knew? Do
they consider it a viable excuse if there's a supervillain attack and you run away from your desk?
No, we're apparently supposed to just be there and get in the way. To distract them for slightly long enough so that the genuine heroes can come in and save the day.
Well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's what I'm there for. I'm essentially there as fodder and buffer.
You get 7 minutes a day for the toilet, 5 minutes a day for a supervillain attack. Yeah, it's not a lot of free time. I don't think I'll work for them. I will continue to work for, I don't know, what organisation could I work for in the Arrowverse? Catco. It seems like you don't need to do anything. Yeah. People get.
I could see you as a funky barista. What's the place they go to in Flash? Is it Jitters or something along those lines?
No, I could not make coffee. Have you seen how much my hands shake?
It'll shake less after the coffee.
Can I get a cup of coffee? It's like, I don't know. I guess we'll see how it goes. I wouldn't last very long. Yeah, I'm just not sure I can work anywhere in these places. Yeah, Catco is probably my best bet.
Catco, like Catco's TV critic.
I could be. That'd be interesting. Get to sit there and be like, why does Kara never turn up for work? This isn't fair. She's never here. And she gets to leave whenever she wants.
My job is to watch TV, and and I'm here more than she is. Yeah.
She's clearly pals with the boss. James doesn't like me.
Office politics at Catco.
That could be a TV show.
It could be.
Let's hope it isn't, though. But anyway, before we get on to talking about Arrow, after I've just talked about Supergirl's workplace for a long period of time, this is what happens when we weirdly record these things all at the same time. They all bleed together. But yeah, so kneel before and rise against. What would you like to kneel before?
I am going to kneel before... I know it's kind of been announced already, but there's a show called Nightflyers, which is based on a book, a little novella by George R.R. Martin. It's got a trailer now, and it's going to be coming to Netflix in the UK in February. The trailer looks quite interesting. It seems like quite a cool sort of concept. I'm up for a bit of sci-fi, and I know that Netflix has been doing rather well on the sci-fi front recently. So, yeah, I'm kneeling before that.
Cool. I think I saw the trailer for that, or I saw some of the trailer for that. Is this another thing where he hasn't quite finished it yet, and it'll get to like season 4, and they'll be like, "Oh, we don't know where it's going because there's no book now."
I think it's just like a novella, so I think it was like a very, very rough idea, and then the showrunners have just taken it from there.
Yeah.
It seems that it's in order to save the dying planet, they send people off into the stars to where they think there's life, and then things go awry.
All right.
It seems to be pretty much the summary of the trailer. But it's all very sort of mysterious and weird, and yeah, it's sort of set in the future, but the not sort of massively distant future by the looks.
So like The Expanse?
Kind of, but The Expanse, I always say, is like a more realistic sci-fi, if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
So sort of gravity and everything works properly in The Expanse, and even the real world politics works closer to the real world in The Expanse, whereas a lot of other sci-fi sort of skips over it and goes, right, we've got gravity plating, and everyone works for free, and there's no such thing as politics, and off into space we go. So yeah, I look forward to seeing it, and we've not got long to wait as it comes out in February.
Cool. I might have a look if I have time. Who knows? I wonder if the George R. R. Martin thing will be like what they were doing with Gene Roddenberry in the late 90s. You know, where they just somehow dredged up. They're like, I think some of it was early 2000s, whenever it was. But they were just finding all these kind of ideas that Gene Roddenberry had written down somewhere and just turning them into TV shows.
Yeah, we found this on the back of a crisp packet.
Yeah, it was like there was Earth Final Conflict, which was trash. Like, I watched a couple of episodes of it, and maybe I was too young, but I just didn't like it. And I watched Andromeda, which was the other thing that had Kevin Sorbo in it, and that wasn't very good either. Certainly the one episode that I watched wasn't that good, but like...
I watched a big chunk of Andromeda, and it just got weird. It started out as one thing, and then they sort of came to what would have been a natural conclusion, and then just went nuts with it.
I think the worst thing about it was it got 5 seasons, and Enterprise didn't. The thing that Gene Roddenberry actually developed to some degree doesn't warrant more than 4 seasons. But the thing that he like wrote down on a used napkin while he was having his lunch, was is the 5-season TV show.
Yeah, I have the feeling there's a lot of George R. R. Martin properties out there that people will have snapped up at either auction or by bidding and going, okay, can we have this? No, someone else has got that. Yeah. What about this one? No, that's going to be a film. What about this one? Yeah, maybe. Or what about this one right at the back? Yeah, sure, okay, you can have that one.
Yeah. I'm going to kneel before the absolute glut of Star Trek content we're getting in the near future. They've recently announced that Michelle Yeoh is going to be leading Black Ops Section 31 TV series, which on the surface it could go either way. I mean, it depends what they do with it, but it's going to be like a secret agent effectively cutting about in the Star Trek universe doing stuff. And it's certainly different to what we've had before, so that's interesting in a way. There's a real opportunity here to have a look into the universe that you wouldn't get anywhere else, because we've had so many shows that are crew on a ship or crew on a space station, but now and those are great, and I have no objection to having even more of those, quite frankly. But this is something a little bit different, and you've got Michelle Yeoh, even though she's playing the kind of evil version of Georgiou. But still, that's pretty cool.
Part of me is kind of disappointed that we're not getting like a Georgiou origins further back into Trek show, but I do like the idea of this coming from a slightly different angle. I look forward to seeing what they do with it. I will reserve judgment until then. Considering the amount of outcry there's been over Discovery, I look forward to seeing the results of this on various comment boards at the end. But I mean, there is so much content coming out of the Star Trek universe that you're sitting there thinking, where's all this come from suddenly?
Well, I think with this Georgiou origin stuff you're looking for, I mean, I don't think you'll get it in the TV sphere, although you're kind of getting it here and there. There's been a few flashbacks. She turns up as a lieutenant in one of the shorts that I just watched the other day, actually. Good stuff. Well, I don't think they're that good, but, whatever, that's another story. And there's a couple of books which are, well, I mean, books aren't canon, but they could be canon, I suppose. And it's, they're kind of earlier missions, and you get a younger Lorca in them and all that kind of stuff in some of them. But I don't think I'll read them because I can't be arsed. I'll just watch the TV show, and then maybe one day I'll visit the books and see what they're like. But for the moment, it seems like there's going to be so much more Star Trek than even I can keep up with, which is just really exciting, because we've got this Lower Decks cartoon as well, which is about it's about the least important people on the least important Federation starship. So, like, I don't know, it's going to be a cartoon that's like an office comedy. I don't know, like. But you could do that. I mean, the Lower Decks episode of TNG is one of my favourites, because I think it just it does that thing that I always talk about that shows don't do. Sometimes is give you that other perspective.
There was sort of a silly YouTube show a few years ago, it might still be running, I'm not too sure, called Space Janitors, which was essentially along the same thing in a sort of version or a copyright-free, very close facsimile to the Star Wars universe, where they were janitors for the Empire, which kind of made me laugh. It's like you say, it's like people that are viewing all this from a distance on the ground level, and I kind of like the idea of getting to see something like that. It might be a bit fun to play about with that. Plus, we've got the Picard show as well.
Yes.
Which if it's not just called
different.
The Picard Show, it's Captain Picard interviewing all his favourite people on the holodeck. So what that's going to be, I've got no idea.
We'll get that this year, though, so it won't be too long till we start finding out. They'll start filming it soon, they'll start putting it together, we'll get a trailer. Yeah, we'll get to know what this is. And I guess the Section 31 show is going to come next year. I mean, I think it's a really good thing that CBS are doing all these, because they have to justify all these subscriptions. Like, you can't pay a subscription every month for a show that's only on for 3 months of the year, or however long it is. That's just nonsense. So I think they have to keep producing original content, and if we're going to go down the Star Trek route, then bang on. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're happy with that.
Yeah. Although as a reviewer, I'm like, please don't put these on at the same time.
They're all going to be released on Fridays. Yeah.
Only one TV one. It's like, can you imagine that? All Fridays. I'm like, all right. I know I'm a Star Trek nerd, but I still like to go out. I still like to socialise on a Friday night.
Don't make me choose between my friends and Star Trek. My friends will never forgive me.
That's why I had no friends. So that's that. Loads of Star Trek. Amazing. Love it. It might all be crap, but for now I love it. Yeah. So what are you rising against?
Well, I was at the cinema, I think, a few weeks ago, and I saw the trailer for something called The Kid Who Would Be King, which is coming out, I think, around about the 15th of February in the UK. And I've got to say, it looks awful. It looks absolutely shocking. So I think it's essentially a kid finds King Arthur's sword and has to fight demons and Morgana and save the world. However, from the trailer, it kind of makes it look like one of those old CBBC shows. It looks like it should be like a 10-episode CBBC children's show that's going out, and somehow what they've done is they've just glued all the bits together and turned it into a movie instead.
Yeah. I saw this trailer as well. I think it looks ridiculous. I like the CBBC show angle that you brought up. And it's like, well, Sabrina's on in half an hour and this is on, so I'll just watch this while I'm killing time. It doesn't look great. However, Patrick Stewart's in it.
Yeah, that is the one saving grace. There's I don't know what they've got over Patrick Stewart. They must be, I don't know, holding family members hostage or something. But yeah, he's in it.
I don't know. The Emoji Movie's the low bar for him. It's not like,
I don't know. This might be it. This might be it. He was in a moment of weakness. He signed up to the Emoji Movie and the kid that would become king.
Yeah. Just why not? Yeah. Rebecca Ferguson's also in it, and she's good. She's Morgana.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that makes me go, do you know what? There might be some merit to it. It might just be a really poor trailer, but at the same time, I'm sitting there going, oh, this could have just went straight to streaming or, been premiered at Christmas on BBC One. You know what I mean? It has that sort of feel to it. If you go and watch the trailer, I'm sure there'll be a link in the show notes somewhere.
Although Patrick Stewart ain't in the trailer, is he? Merlin is some floppy-haired teenage weirdo in the trailer, isn't he?
He is. Oh well, there is a Patrick Stewart appearance in there. There is a little bit, yeah. But
I don't remember that so much.
Yes, there is a little bit. There is a little bit, but yeah, like I say, just ouch. It just doesn't look that good, and I hate knocking stuff before I've seen it. But yeah, this looks like it'd be fun to pan.
Yeah, I'm actually probably going to go see it because I have nothing better to do with my life, to be honest. I don't know. Just, yeah, it doesn't look that great. It just doesn't. And it's another King Arthur story as well. I mean, how many of these bloody things are we going to have?
I know. I mean, we've been talking about how many different stories from George R.R. Martin have been found. How many King Arthurs have we had recently?
Yeah, I'm really not sure. That's a good question. I'm going to rise against the fact that they're making a Venom 2. Because, I mean, we all knew it was going to happen because this is inexplicably making money. I know we talked about it. You weren't on that one, but I was. I know we talked about it, and, you know, I was kind of entertained by Venom in a way, but I kind of like, okay, I'm expecting this to bomb, and for some reason it's just making so much money. Why is it making so much money? It doesn't deserve to make this much money, but it's like outclassed X-Men films. Any film that stars an X-Men character, Venom has made more money than it. It's mental. And they're making a sequel where they've confirmed Woody Harrelson will be Carnage. And how is that going to end in any other way but a CGI fight with a palette-swapped symbiote fighting Venom?
I'm kind of the same as you. I wasn't massively in favour of the recent Venom film. It had its fun bits, and I've got to say, like, the overall feeling I had was it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But for sequels, I'm sitting going, it's always just going to end the same way with Mushy Goo fighting Mushy Goo in CG, and then that's going to be it, really. I don't see. And the thing is that because it's not Venom, and I think we said this in the review podcast, because it can't really tie into Spider-Man in any way at the moment, or it can't merge into the current Spider-Man that we've got. It can't sort of join up with all that. Then what are they going to do with it? Where are they going to take it?
Well, it's just going to be a film.
It's going to be Carnage because they've put that in the post credits. Spoiler. I don't know. Are we allowed to do spoiler? The spoiler klaxon before we do this?
Well, it's old enough, I think.
It's old enough. Well, you know, they've hinted it's going to be Carnage in this, so you know we know what it's going to be. He's going to be investigating and trying to find out where he's gone and track him down and sort it out. And yeah. And,
well, I mean, they did more than hint. They've absolutely confirmed that Woody Harrelson will be returning as Carnage with his stupid wig. And I quite like the idea of Woody Harrelson being like a sinister, soulless killer. And I feel like those scenes could be interesting. But as soon as he becomes Carnage, it's going to be like, oh, look, it's this guy that looks exactly like me, except he's red and he makes axes out of his hands like that guy in the last film. So,
because he's equipped with all these weapons that Venom doesn't have.
Yeah. For some reason.
On his utility belt. His symbiote utility belt.
Despite the fact that the symbiote could, in theory, just, do that. But never mind. So that's that. Venom 2, I don't really want it. I feel like the Venom franchise, as it is now, why do we get to call this a franchise? It's ridiculous. But the Venom franchise it's a springtime for Hitler situation. If you don't know what that means, anyone in the audience, in the producers, they want to just make a flop to justify the cost of something, and so they just make a play that they think is going to be crap called Springtime for Hitler, because people would naturally not root for Hitler, and it turns out to be a massive hit, despite their best efforts to make it not a massive hit. So it's like Sony were like, right, make a Venom film. Doesn't matter whether you know anything about the character, just get it done. And then they did it, and they made something that was like, where no one involved really gave any craps about it. And now we're getting another one. So Springtime for Hitler. Or Springtime for Venom. which will be the title of our second Venom podcast when the film comes out.
We've got to add this to the list.
We've got to add it to the cool title list, which has 2 things on it.
We're doing really well this year. January's off to a flyer.
Better than nothing. So there we go. So there we are, rising against Venom. and the fact that we're getting another. Despite the fact that I didn't actually mind the first one, but I didn't mind it. It doesn't mean I want another one.
It's one of those things. You just hope that they've got a really good idea, that they take all the best bits, they filter all the good stuff that they did do, and they leave the bits that made absolutely no sense behind. But I have the feeling that they'll just carry all of it over.
Oh, it could be a masterpiece. But who knows? So that's our accolades and complaints. Kneel before rise against. They're all done. So now on to the main event, Arrow Season 7. Without spoiling, if you please.
I have been really surprised by this season. I've really enjoyed there's been a couple of surprises in it for me. The amount of time they focused on prison and what they've done with the flashbacks in the season has made a little bit of light in this for me and sort of rocked it up a bit. I didn't think they'd be able to change the format of it that much, but they've actually impressed me, and we've got something that's not the usual Arrow format, and that I've enjoyed this season.
Yeah, I've really liked it as well. I was impressed by how long he was in prison. Much longer than I expected. Although more than one episode was longer than I expected. They've done interesting little things. I don't think they've went off format as much as you seem to imply there. I think they've managed to tweak the format.
I think that's more what I mean than going off format. Yeah.
So
he's not doing a cookery program, but it's I get what you mean.
Need to watch that episode. Well, he can cook. He can. Yeah, it's like an hour of Stephen Amell just making food.
we all know we'd watch it.
Yeah, we would. Well, we'd be about halfway through the episode, and it's like he's still in the bloody kitchen. Like, what's going on here? Like, I thought the musical was weird. So. Yeah, I don't have much more to add than that, other than without spoiling. So, yeah, it's been good. Been a good season so far. Been very interesting. It's stepped it up a notch. The flashbacks, as we'll call them, without spoiling.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, shall we just leap right in?
Yes. Let's go through those big prison doors into the spoiler area.
Yeah, that's it. The spoiler level. Spoiler confinement.
Yeah.
Okay, so first thing to touch on is the prison. Oliver's in prison because of a deal he made with the FBI. You go 7 episodes before he gets out, and he only interacts with Felicity once while he's in prison, and like Laurel later on.
Laurel, I think everyone gets at least one visit.
Diggle,
pretty much.
No, I think that's it. Laurel, Diggle, and Felicity. I can't remember if he speaks to William or not.
No, I don't think William ever goes to the prison.
Oh well, never mind. So, 7 episodes of Oliver Queen separated from the rest of the cast. That's brave. I mean, network TV shows, they kind of thrive on their formula. People tune into Arrow every week so they can see, him and Felicity flirt with each other. They'll go to some warehouse and shoot arrows at things, and Felicity will be behind a computer, and this is comfortable, it's safe, we enjoy this. We'll still have that, but then this season it's like, no, Oliver's in prison the whole time, so you've got him navigating the weird political machinations that exist within the prison. He has to make friends with his villains. Everybody hates him because he put some of them there. It's a great setup, and I think they use it really well. And I think Stephen Amell never gets enough credit as an actor. He really doesn't. And I think this season he's been absolutely killing it.
I think he's done great. The fact they've sort of taken him out from the usual, I said in the spoiler-free bit, the amount of time they spent on prison, I think I've got to apologise, because I think I pretty much said in the podcast before this, I expect him to be a couple of episodes in prison, or an episode and a half in prison, where they do one episode of him in jail, half an episode of him appealing at court, and by the end of that episode he's out and about in the Green Arrow costume again.
Yeah.
Whereas they stuck to their guns.
We all expected that. I don't think anybody expected him to be in as long as he was. And it was just every week it was it's another completed episode and he's still in there. Jeez, what's going on? But and it'd be different if, it has to be interesting as well. You can't just have 7 episodes of him sitting in prison. It's as dull as dishwater, It's actually really good. like he's under constant attack, and eventually has to make friends. And I think what they did with Bronze Tiger was brilliant. Like, he's a character that deserves to have more focus later on. Maybe he joins Team Arrow later in the run.
You expect him to turn up somewhere to either help out or be on the side of someone that he's trying to take out. Yeah.
And especially that prison break episode where they had the multi-level one-shot fight. It was like something out of Daredevil. That was incredible. And it helps that, I guess, both those actors are really, like, do their own stunts and all that stuff. So you can frame those kinds of things. I don't know if it was all filmed in one go. I doubt it. I suspect they're hiding cuts, but still, it was impressive.
It was some of the most impressive stuff that I've seen on Arrow so far. The fight choreography and some of the prison stuff has been immense.
Yeah, and then you had his little Weasley friend.
From like as soon as he got introduced, and it was like, oh, I'm a big fan. You've got to help me out. They're all going to kill me in here. I'll let you navigate prison, and you just stop them punching me in the face.
Yeah.
As soon as he got introduced, I was like, well, he's definitely going to be some villainous serial killer. It's like the fact that he's so far not said, oh, I'm in for tax evasion or fraud or some financial crime. You're like, well, it's definitely going to turn out to be some grisly murders that this guy's committed. You know, so the fact that by the end of it they get to the fact that he has just been plotting the whole time.
Yeah.
What was it, great. Stanley? I think it was Stanley.
Yeah, because he had a knife in a wall, and there was no way he would know the knife was in the wall, and that's how Oliver got tipped on it and felt sick for what he did.
But you kind of had the feeling up until then that the information he was feeding them was always slightly twisted in different ways, or that he knew more than what he was letting on. I was expecting at one point for him to be the what was it? If you want to get out of here, or if you're wanting to find out where he is, you've got to go and speak to the dragon, or you've got to speak to this person. And I was expecting it to come back up and to turn out that it was Stanley all along, who was the contact with Diaz on the inside, kind of thing. Paying people off to beat him up so it looks like he's not really in control when he is. That's what I was expecting, but
although I had him pegged as being the real identity of the demon that they kept referring to, but the actual reveal was even better. I loved that it was Talia.
I was not expecting, despite the name.
It was obvious, but also not obvious. Because you never expected Talia to really turn up, and then and I like this version of Talia. I think she has a lot to give, and maybe she didn't give all of it in that episode, but she'll be back, I suppose.
That was one of my favourite episodes in the prison, actually, apart from sort of the final one, which I thought was really good. That one, because it let him sort of cut about in an almost Arrow-esque way for that episode, despite the fact it was still self-contained within the prison. It was still him cutting about, doing his observation, breaking through things, and taking out guards and doing all that sort of stuff in a style that you would normally expect from him out in the field, rather than cutting about in the prison. Because you've seen him be not passive, but sort of trying to avoid the fights up until that point, keeping it to a bare minimum. Up until that point, and then in this one, down in the level 2 where he's mad scientist, he just lets rip and goes for it. And
I like the psychological episode as well. Where that psychiatrist was trying to break him down into his component parts, I guess. Just trying to convince him that his dad wasn't a good person, which, from a certain angle, you can totally see that. Because it was like, no. His dying wish was to burden you with his own problems. And that's like, that's a bad fatherly thing. And as the episode progressed, by the end of it was, what would you do? And then it puts him in the Robert situation, and then William, and it's like, live your life, forget about me. And that was great. I really liked that. It's just to show that Oliver Queen is a better man than his father, and that's like I guess that's what fathers should hope for their children. But Robert's final wish was, solve all these issues that I've caused,
carry out this vendetta for me.
So he's had this whole he's had this whole mission that he's imposed on himself that he maybe didn't have to. And maybe if his dad had said something different, his life would be different, although who knows. I mean, I think there's a whole different piece that shapes who Oliver Queen is over the years. So, it's not all about getting back so he can cross names off that list. I mean, the things he experiences are horrific. But over those 5 years in hell, out of hell, in China, and and so on, in Russia, etc.
I mean, all those years he was on that one island and never once left.
Yeah, yeah, weird. So, but I thought it was a bit iffy in terms of what that psychiatrist was trying to do. I wasn't sure if he was trying to help or he was trying to break him down. It wasn't clear. And then they just kind of swept it aside anyway.
Yeah, the most corrupt prison in the world is like they're letting Diaz cut about for a bit. Yeah. Meanwhile, there's like a crazy psychologist downstairs that's torturing inmates. And I liked the idea that Oliver being inside the prison, it shows you how bad it is, how corrupt it is, how awful it is, and in theory it should dredge up a different conversation later on. It's like, is this right to send criminals to prison? Do they deserve this? Like, I used to kill them, at least it was over. But then, I'll just send them to this fate that's horrible. Like, these people are in prison and, they have to participate in this Mean Girls-esque hierarchy, and there was, I couldn't help but think that in the first episode, you had all the lunch tables and Oliver was on his own. I was like, Mean Girls. Like, on Wednesdays we wear non-bloodied clothes. It's when he looks about the room and goes, well, could sit with them? No. Could sit with them? No. Could sit with them? No. Oh, there's that big table, empty. I'll just sit here by myself in the corner.
Yeah, that's fine.
No one's going to pay any attention to me over here.
Yeah. So that's an interesting debate, and I hope the show has it, especially with him being out of prison.
Yeah, you feel it's a debate that should be there.
Yeah.
But whether it will get covered or not.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty much taking a big blow up to the prison, so they might not have a prison to send anyone to anyway.
Well, that's true. I mean, there's other prisons. There's Iron Heights, and we know what it was like when Barry was in there.
Another corrupt prison with experimentation going on.
The less said about that, the better. And then Oliver's out of prison. He's working with the police as the Green Arrow, so he's like their tame superhero, so to speak. I think that's a reasonable compromise. You get to keep him as Green Arrow, but like he doesn't. He's a public figure. This could head him down the kind of man of the people route as Green Arrow. Although what will happen if the police want him to act on something that he doesn't want to do, or he wants to do something that the police want him to stay away from? I mean, there's plenty of room for friction between him and Dinah there.
Oh, I think there's tons of that they're going to play with. You're going to get the full gambit. You're going to get him wanting to jump into action for something and being told no.
Yeah.
And you're also going to get them saying, we want to take this person out, and you're going to do it, and he's going to turn around and say no.
Yeah.
And there's, like you say, there's that whole argument I think is going to be there. And also we've got processes as to how we do things, being the police.
Yeah.
So it'll be, I don't know, there'll be a whole episode of Oliver filling his after-action report and booking evidence into lockup and
I think Dinah this season's really come into her own as well. She's really good as the captain in Quentin's place, and the kind of the kind of the friction she has with Renee, like when she arrests him and things like that, and the friction she has with others. I think it's really good for her, and I think it really shows that there's a lot more women on the show running team and the writing team this season, because the female characters by and large have been treated really well. I mean, you've got the Felicity and Felicity, I can't be with you at the moment, Oliver, because you abandoned me and all this nonsense, and like, great, more of this garbage, more angst, fantastic. But with Dinah, like nothing about Dinah is who she's seeing. Romantic interest doesn't come into it. It's more about what her strategy is, how she does her job, how good she is at her job, things like her intelligence, and then showing that it all fails because in the future it's gone to complete. It's gone to pot, completely.
It is not a happy place.
No.
I agree with you. I've liked seeing her as the police captain, and the fact that she's basically having to enforce this anti-vigilante law despite the fact that she was a vigilante herself. I like it, sort of putting her at odds with Renee a bit, who's wanting to basically get involved and get back in, but can't.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder why she's not put the same offer to him at some point and gone, join up then. You want respect, you want to take action, then become a cop.
Yeah.
Like, and then you can go out to your community and help as many people as you want. Yeah,
yeah, although they were trying to do the whole, he's the voice of the Glades, he's the face of the Glades, and that clearly ends badly.
Well, you can tell it's coming up for a figurehead in the future kind of thing, isn't it? It's
yeah. And in terms of the future, actually, the future timeline, well, it's bleak.
Yes.
It's bleak. And it actually, I wonder if it's the same as, I wonder if that's Zari's timeline from Legends.
He's getting close to it, isn't it?
Because it's the same stuff. Like, everything's screwed. I mean, in Zari's timeline, you see specifically that Argus are like in charge and metahumans are hunted, which is fine. And that's maybe one aspect of it. And maybe in like Star City it's different. But they specifically say the Glades rise up and cause all this nonsense. I like the way that it's been teasing information kind of slowly.
I mean, I sometimes I get annoyed with that kind of thing, and sometimes I like it. I've liked the way that they've done it here, where the conversations haven't seemed like exposition.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it could be, William in the future going, oh, so what about after this happened and this happened and this happened? Oh, what? You mean when this happened? When that person died and this person did this and they fell out with...
Well,
Instead,
William,
it's as it's been going along, yeah.
Well, William, as you know, in the year 2022, in July, this happened.
As you can see in this video that we have brought with us, and
it's characters having conversations that they should have because they both know the answer, and then you get it through context, which is the right way to do it.
And I think it's been good. The bit I was talking about in the spoiler-free section was that I was quite surprised when they did the flash forward rather than a flashback or just a flash to someone else and running parallel. Because at first when they arrived on Lian, I was like, well, that place grew its trees back really quick.
Or who the hell is this guy?
Yeah, who's this dude? What's he doing? He's not Oliver. Hang on.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this an alternate timeline kind of thing? Is this a... It was like... And then when it all came about, I was like, oh, this is great. I like this. Because it plays about your expectations in kind of the opposite way around now.
Yeah.
Where it used to be that something would happen in the present that reminded Oliver of something in a flashback or tied to a flashback.
Yeah.
We're now getting the opposite way around, where you'll see a character going in a particular direction, sort of hinting that they're going to go in a particular direction, and then you maybe see the consequences of that in the future, or in one of the conversations in the future they kind of tease back to that, and it's...
I mean, they're not, especially early on, they didn't entirely manage that. It felt like there was just two different stories going on. I think they've done a better job at linking them together now, especially when you've got like the episode where Diaz was trying to blow up the city, which, by the way, that was never his style, but never mind. We're going to use gas pipes to blow up this. I don't know, whatever. Felicity wants to do that later on for some reason.
Yeah, she's got the template that they got off Diaz, and she's went, I'll just reuse this plan.
Yeah, this will be fine.
I've got, I need a plan to blow up the city. Hang on, I've got like 6 that other people tried to do. Let me just find out the best one. Oh no, Diaz had the best one. Right, okay, we'll reuse his plan.
Yeah, and it's a bit weird, but it's a bit weird that it doesn't always link up like that, but it's interesting, and it's clear that we're going to get a better picture of how it ended up this way. Of course, that puts a bit of a risk in the present day storyline, because we've seen in Legends that Zari's from a timeline that they keep saying we can't change this. This is what happens, and then now we're saying in Arrow this is the future, and Arrow doesn't really have time travel, not on its own.
No, not on its own.
Not
I mean,
that's
what I was going to ask you, is do you think this is the timeline set in stone if they're showing a definite future? Or do you think at some point in the future timeline they're going to go, oh, we've got to stop this from happening?
Yeah.
And they're going to end up going back to a key point in this season's present timeline that they can flip it about and stop either like Felicity going down a particular path or...
I mean, it's a difficult one. I don't know how they're going to do that, because it's just one of the things. It's like, oh, look, every choice these characters are making in the present isn't right. Every choice that they make is incorrect, because it leads them down this horrible path. But then, also, in the moment, in the present day, you can understand, broadly speaking, why they made that choice. People largely aren't acting stupidly. So everyone is like...
The logic's there.
Yeah, they're behaving as per the situation allows them to behave. So, yeah, they're doing certain little different things, but yeah, it's going to be so weird if it's like, this is all going to pop. Like, any victory is just...
There's no optimism, is there? Because you're like, maybe one day Oliver will solve crime and the city will be happy. Whereas now we know, nope, that never happens. Yeah. it's all going to be rubbish.
And I think like the pieces of the jigsaw will start fitting together more and more as the season progresses. I also like that they're not forcing the flash forward story down our throats. It doesn't end every episode, so it's not like, I mean, remember in the days of season 4, I think it was, where the flashbacks were just chronic, and sometimes you would get like 5 minutes of them in an episode, and nothing would happen. You know, there'd be some slight movement between places or characters, and nothing. It wouldn't mean anything. So this they only seem to be cutting to the future when it's relevant, or they've done that extra bit of filming on the ruined sets. I don't know, but yeah.
Like you say, in the previous seasons, you would get we're kind of running short for time before this ad break.
Yeah, a couple of minutes of
let's have them making tea, and someone will spout an old Chinese proverb, and then we can go back again. Yeah. Then we can cut back to the action.
Yeah. And one of these major things that's in the future is that Felicity is a villain who's taken her dad's name of the calculator, which is, kind of crappy. I mean, you could have picked a better name, but never mind. But the present day storyline is very much supporting that journey that she's on, because she becomes... You see her at the beginning of the season, she's terrified, always looking over her shoulder, waiting for Diaz to show up and kill her. And then he shows up in the very first episode, which I really was impressed by, because it's like, oh my god, are we going to see 6 weeks of waitress Felicity flirting with this guy before telling him that she's married at some point,
I was expecting it to be her sort of flirting with someone, and then eventually him finding out who she is, and then it leaking out onto the internet some way, and then that leads to Diaz coming over. But like you say, they kind of got it out the way right up front,
and then William just buggers off. He's never seen again.
It's like, the safest thing to do to you is not keep you within my sight and just trust that you're safe. Yeah. Off you pop.
Should be fine.
Yeah. Because nothing bad has ever happened in a boarding school.
And having Diaz back as a villain, I could take or leave it. I think they did okay with him, but giving him powers to then be easily defeated by Oliver was a bit weird.
That to me just didn't seem to lead anywhere. It was like they had that whole episode where they teamed up with the FBI to stop him getting whatever he was after in that facility.
It was the Mirakuru.
Turned out it was the Mirakuru. Yeah. He takes it, punches a lump out of a wall, and then never really seems to use his abilities past that.
And then Oliver beats the crap out of him in a cell and leaves him there.
Oliver beats him anyway. Yeah. Now the only thing that it's there for at this point is basically so that he's going to survive what's happened at the prison.
Yeah. And he's going to be an informant for the FBI, or maybe he's not. Well, they're trying to use him as an informant, but that's going to blow up in their face, surely.
Yeah.
But I was kind of hoping that Oliver had killed him in the prison cell, because I quite like the whole symmetry of you're not leaving here unless it's dead or whatever. There was this whole
you're
thing.
You're leaving here in a body bag. Yeah. I just feel that
I'll die before I get put back in prison. And it's like, and he dies and gets put back in prison, But it's iffy, I think.
I think he's one of these villains that's going to keep popping up and keep coming back. But I've kind of had my fill of him.
Yeah, and I don't know, what they'll do with him now. The main villain might have something to do with Stanley now, because he's out there somewhere.
I think there will be a bit of Stanley doing something to mess with Oliver.
Yeah.
Once he's out, but you would think he wouldn't quite have the means to go do a Diaz on him.
You don't know anything about him.
So I suppose Stanley's out there, but I think he'll end up trying to do something, slightly getting away with it, and then getting caught with someone else, tied up with someone else.
But Felicity's descent into villainy works fairly well. The sketchy things she keeps doing. Making a good team with evil Laurel was quite funny.
Yes.
And it was like, oh, you should see you on Earth 2. Ruthless. It's like, I want to see Earth 2 Felicity now. Like, don't tease me with that. Like, Nazi Felicity was boring. You know,
Nazi Felicity was boring.
Well, I mean,
bring on like evil.
Like, she's Jewish in any universe, right? But like, so that's a hindrance when Nazis are your overlords. But I don't know. I want to see this Earth 2 Felicity, and it's like I like the idea that evil Laurel's a bit taken aback by how ruthless she's being, and it's I liked it when her team up with Renee, where it's like capture this longbow hunter person and we'll torture her, and and Felicity has to be willing to do it, and she is willing to do it. The longbow hunters, so little time here.
I know we are running really short. Even that episode where she goes in basically to shoot Diaz, and I was like, oh, this could end it. I could finally get what I want to prove that he's dead. It's going to be shot right through the middle. Go for it, Felicity, and then it doesn't happen. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like you don't know what I'm capable of, and it's like, yeah, I do. And, that's why I'm not afraid, or whatever the line was. But I like the way that's going. I could give two craps about the angst that exists, that's being manufactured, but in terms of Felicity, you need to watch what you're doing. Like, this way lies ruin. And like Anatoly giving her the advice, it's like I told Oliver to not be the Green Arrow because that's crazy. Calling your psychopath side a different thing, but it's like no, you full psychopath, go for it. Here's a gun.
Good old Anatoly with his guns.
Anatoly can always be counted on.
I mean, speaking of people that can survive literally anything, Anatoly,
that guy.
It's like the entire room of mobsters could be taken out, but the guy sort of crawling out of the rubble at the end is always Anatoly.
Yeah, more lives than a Russian cat. The longbow hunters, we can quickly mention them. They're pretty interesting. I think their little gimmicks are okay. There's the Captain America guy, Captain Sweden, like with his with his shield, with his razor shield. Who else? There's the silencer. I think they overuse that effect of like cutting the sound while they fight, but it was quite cool. There was the other one.
The other one, whose name
The other woman.
Yes.
Yeah, but I can't remember what it is she did. She was cool anyway.
She was sort of the tech person, wasn't she? She normally had out all the gadgets.
Yeah, she was cool anyway. It's fine. Yes. So they'll still be about. Again, tune into the end of season podcast where we dive into more detail. We're just strapped for time at the moment.
On a quick one about the silencer, I think it was slightly overused, but she was the perfect person to put up against Dinah and evil Laurel.
Yeah,
it was like that was. I think that's why she got used so much. Was basically you needed to depower them to make a fight more.
And when they were both fighting her, and they both used their canary cries to bring down her silent shield, that was cool. Yeah, it's some creative use of action stuff there. You mentioned in the spoiler-free part about the change in format or the tweak in the format, and the tweak was interesting in the sense that like I was talking about, people tune into Arrow to get your, infiltration sequences, and you still got them, but they dressed them up differently. This week it's the FBI. Felicity's still behind a computer though. She's just wearing a big vest that says FBI. Yeah. And then you did that thing, she was doing it for Argus.
Yeah.
And, it was just...
She's there with Curtis doing it, or she's there in a different facility.
And it's just little different things here and there. But you still get the core format, and you get to see different characters do different stuff. I think Diggle as an Argus agent is it's a good place for him, because it gives him a bit of a purpose. This whole thing about there's something big out there that Lyle is investigating, and that's good as well. It's a tease for what might be coming. If it turns out to be Diaz, though,
no.
Turns out Diaz is behind this as well. It's like, can we just see in future? Can we just assume it's Diaz first, and then we'll save ourselves some time? And on the rare occasions it's not him,
evil Laurel.
In
the rare occasions it's not him.
It's like, what past villains have we not heard from in a while? So
Anatoly will always have been working both sides, though. You can guarantee if there's a man making a little bit of coin out of it at the end.
Yeah, Anatoly's like, I have no allegiance other than...
What, you mean that big thing over there? Yeah, well, I did kind of help them. I mean, I'm not totally with them, but, I did... Well, they paid me.
So you've got that. Yeah. So it's good that you still get that little flavour of what Arrow is in essence, and you still get these things, and different characters doing different things. I think Agent Watson teaming up with them at the one mission was pretty cool. It was good to see her do that.
It was good to see her be a bit of a badass instead of just sitting behind her desk or turning up with paperwork and going, "Ha, I've got you now."
You understand why she's in the job that she's in, because she can do everything. And then she goes out on a limb for Felicity, and she ends up suffering. It's like, I'm being reassigned. Thanks. We got nothing out of that, and we devoted a lot of resources, and you had this discussion about the law as well, where it's like, I prefer to follow the law, and Felicity's like, nah, I prefer to break it. It's quicker, easier, and you've got that bit of an ideological debate about vigilante justice versus the rule of law, and it's like the law isn't perfect, but it's there to protect everybody, and we lose out by not
So who gets quicker results? I suppose the other one, I mean, we'll probably cover it more when we talk about Supergirl, but sort of Manchester Black v Kara in trying to find out information and eventually narrow stuff down. One sort of is willing to break the rules, so gets there quicker than the other. And I suppose the same applies here, where Felicity wants to basically hack her way through, get the information without a warrant, without the sort of search powers that she's supposed to have.
Let's get rid of the red tape.
And cut through it and get straight there. And I think that's coming back to exactly what you said earlier on, that Oliver's going to be sitting there waiting to get the information on where he's to strike or where he's to go, and they're going to be like, nope, we need to fill out this warrant card and this bit of paperwork here. We've got to speak to Brian over there, and he gives us permission to do this next bit. And
so Oliver, this report says you fired 3 arrows, but there were 4 missing from your quiver. Oh yeah, drop one. It's like, you don't drop arrows. It's like, I did this time, but
dropped it repeatedly into his head.
That's it. To clarify your point about us discussing it in Supergirl, we didn't during the mid-season.
We didn't, but we will talk about it at the end of season. Yeah.
May is going to be fun. So
we've got a lot to talk about in May.
Last thing we should talk about is the new Green Arrow. Didn't appear that often, which was good. It wasn't every episode. Oh look, here's the new Green Arrow again. It appeared sparingly. I like the full face mask. That's a good thing. And then they reveal that it's another child of Robert Queen. I don't know this because the show doesn't tell you, but I did some research. There's a comic book character called Emiko Queen, who is Oliver's sister. That's who she is.
Okay.
We didn't do a Q&A on this one or the last one or the Flash one, but the question I come up with is, and that's the question that we'll leave on, I guess, is do you think between the Oliver Queen's sister reveal and the deal that Oliver makes with the Monitor, they are perhaps preparing us for a version of Arrow that doesn't have Oliver Queen as the lead character? Could they kill him off and replace him with the sister that's not here?
I don't think they would be as bold as to kill him off, but I do see the potential of trying to take him out of the board in some way. I don't think they would ever leave it with the possibility that he's never coming back. But I do see them leaving it as the possibility that someone else is going to be the Green Arrow, take up the mantle and do it.
And I suppose the answer to that question heavily depends on how do audiences react to this character. If everyone hates her, then she's not going to lead a TV show. But if people like her, there's a possibility that they could.
It might not necessarily be her that pushes it on.
No,
either.
It just seems the most likely.
I mean, another thing that they could do is build up the future storyline to the extent where you jump forward into this anarchy future. With William taking the mantle of the Green Arrow and pushing it forward.
Yeah, they've already mentioned he's crap, though. Shooting arrows. Well. That's why you've got Roy, old Roy. That was a good way to bring Roy back without, why is he back? Because he's got all this baggage attached to him. So there might be a new Green Arrow, there might not be. But
I definitely think that they've proved in some ways by the fact that they did those 7 episodes with Oliver in a jail, they did prove that the team can hold their own.
Yeah.
They did prove that these characters can stand on their own as well without constantly going, basically there as accessories to Oliver.
Yeah.
Instead, they are able to carry their own stories.
Yeah.
Whether they would commit to do that fully or not, I don't know. They've definitely tested the water with this season, though, I would say.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. And I'm afraid that's all we have time for today.
No.
I think we'll certainly table that discussion about the Green Arrow sister thing. We may know more by the end of the season anyway, so in May
Let's hope so. That's going to be a slow reveal if we don't have anything by May.
Yeah, in May we'll revisit all of these discussions, but that's a bit of a teaser on what we thought of the show. It's coming back next week. It's just we're so tight for time at the moment, but that's been great. So, Chris, thank you for a very quick bullet point discussion on Arrow, or bullet arrow discussion on bullet points and
a bullet
points.
arrow point discussion.
Yeah, we
a
hit
bullet
the,
arrow point discussion.
We hit
You're
the
welcome.
target. Yeah, fine. Okay. So, thank you. I'm now off to find my prison clique. So, that was our quickfire discussion on the first half of Arrow Season 7. Thanks to YouTubers Dagma and Neil Stenson for the supplied music. If you like what you heard, then hit that subscribe button on iTunes, YouTube or any major podcasting app. iTunes users, please leave us a star rating and a comment to let us know you care. You can talk to us about this or anything else on Facebook or Twitter under Kneel Before Blog, or go to kneelbeforeblog.co.uk and leave a comment. As always, we hope you'll join us on the next Kneel Before Pod.